And finally, Mainland had the pleasure of TV3 7-Day star Paul Ego in the studio on Tuesday, ahead of the comedy Convoy's Nelson performance on Tuesday evening. Paul shared insights on his life in the limelight. Stars of the showcase are British comedians Carl Donnelly, here for the first time, and Marcus Birdman, who is talking on divorce, alongside hilarious Kiwis Justine Smith and crack-up magician Jared Fell.
Bang.
Paul Ego, what do you like about Nelson so far since you've been here for around about 3 minutes?
Well, so far, I think the mist is great. It's very Bronte. It's very Wuthering Heights, and I love the building that we're in now, which has probably more large satellite dishes per capita than any other, American city in New Zealand. And no, Nelson's always a good time, and I don't get down the South Island very much, so it's nice that you've brought down the English weather today, because we've got English acts on the Convoy, and we've got some drizzle to make them feel at home. It's awesome.
Now, who are these other people with you on the tour?
I don't know, to be honest,
so
Joya. I don't know who they are, but they are all very special. I basically got a text saying, look, we've got some very special people coming on the Convoy. And, when they're not pushing trolleys, they're doing comedy gigs. And apparently they're really good at both of them. No, I do know them. Justine Smith, Justin to her friends, is a fantastic Kiwi comic who's kind of she's sort of like a cross between, say, Cheryl West from Outrageous Fortune and a really horny female orangutan. And if you combine those two, that's kind of her. Big personality, big laughs from Justine. She's great. Jared Fell is a magician / comedian. I think he's a magician who slashes on comedians and joins those two worlds together very well. So there'll be lots of audience interaction with him. And then Marcus and Carl are both great British acts. And Marcus recently divorced, I think, as you mentioned there, from Carl, which I don't think a lot of people realise. So the van is going to be quite sort of tense, I guess, because I'm not sure the two of them are talking. But a really good cross section, a nice little sort of tapas tasting platter of comics with something for everyone's taste.
What about you, Paul? Were you born funny, or what's the story?
Yeah, apparently I came out with a clown nose in a small car when I was born, and I don't know if anybody really believes they're funny personally. I think normally it takes another person to go, you should do that, and that certainly happened for me. I performed a lot when I was younger in sort of school productions and played the Wicked Wizard in our 7th form year of Aladdin, and I had long green fingernails that my mum made me out of an old hose, and so I'd kind of been on stage, but I'd never done comedy until I was 28, and somebody sort of nagged me into doing it, and so I did it just to kind of shut them up, really.
So exactly how long have you been at it?
Well, I started in 1994 in London, so into the 20th year now. Yeah. So long enough that most of the time I think I know what I'm doing.
I'm sure you do. Mm-hmm. Now, did you always want to be a comedian? Was there something else that you had in mind?
No, I was a singer to start with. My parents entered me in Talent Quest when I was sort of 12, 13, singing kind of Neil Diamond songs and Elvis Presley songs, and always enjoyed singing and using the microphone, but and certainly enjoyed watching and listening to comedy. My parents are English. I was born in the UK. And they always used to play Goons and Peter Sellers records and Monty Python records all the time. And so I loved, enjoying comedy with them. But I never thought of doing it, as I say, until I was sort of late 20s. And I kind of wishing now that I'd started earlier. But I'm enjoying the twilight years of my comedy life.
I'm sure you are. And people usually give up trying to do what you do. How do you do what you do so well?
Well, I think for me a lot of it comes down to having the support of family and also having other interests. I mean, as well as I think if you focus solely on comedy and think that that's going to bring you an income in an industry as small as New Zealand, I think you'll be quite disappointed, and you could get burnt out quite quick. I think we're at an advantage now. We've got shows like 7 Days and Best Bits, and there's other things that comedians can kind of aim towards getting into, but most comics that I know, including myself, do stuff other than stand-up. I was in radio for a long time. Before that, I was a sign writer. I was doing comedy at night. I was sign writing during the day. So I think, the classic work-life balance, scenario gives you a better handle on sort of keeping a balance in your life, and also it gives you other stuff to talk about. I think if you're only ever hanging out with comics and just sleeping till 7 and then getting up and going doing the gig, you're not having any life experience to actually write stuff about, because otherwise you're just going, I went to a gig today. That's not very relatable to many people in the audience.
Absolutely. Now, are you two-faced? Is there a funny and serious side to Paul?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm actually quite a grumpy person at home, and I think my sons are aware just how grumpy I can be. I think a lot of that comes from my kind of English heritage. My dad loves comedy, but is quite a serious man in other ways, and I save all my kind of seriousness and my anger for my kids. Definitely, I don't hit them, I've got to say, but I'm certainly not very funny around them. And then when I go on stage, that's my kind of funny time. Actually, this festival that we're in the middle of now is the first time that my son, who's 14, my eldest boy, has ever seen me do stand-up comedy before. And he came along to my shows in Auckland, came along to my opening night, and really loved it. Well, he said he did. I kind of believe him, and which was really cool because a lot of the show is about him. So I was quite nervous with him being in the audience, but no, he really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great.
And do they take after you, your sons? Do they take after you at all?
Yeah, they are both pretty funny, and they're both great at accents, and just, I mean, they're boys anyway, so they talk a lot of rubbish, as most boys do. But we have a lot of fun together, and my poor wife, who's been with me for 25 years and now has another 2 men in the house as well, we just talk a lot of bollocks, and a lot of the time she just goes, you just hear the door slam and she's just gone shopping, she'll go to Westfield for a couple of hours and just see some normal people.
Now, why kickstart your show in Nelson? Do we remind you of guinea pigs?
Yeah, Nelson, yes, very much. I know a lot of people in Nelson are very small, and
Excuse me.
Yeah, well, you see, cute, lovely coat. You've got a great coat, wet nose, obviously very healthy station. This, and and we own guinea pigs now. My youngest son's got guinea pigs, and so when I spoke to the comedy festival, I said, look, I'd be interesting, and I've been spending a lot of time around the guinea pigs. Do you have anywhere like that? And they went, well, Nelson's very good. They big fans of carrot. A lot of dry kibble people down here love, and they like getting outside, but only if it's in an area of about 2 by 1 metres. Yeah.
But more seriously, you're obviously, you no doubt are in contact with New Zealand's sexiest man, that is Guy Williams himself from Nelson. What's that like, and are you expecting Nelson people to be as sexy as him?
Well, I think if Guy Williams has been voted New Zealand's sexiest man, then Nelson people really do need to get out a lot more, and hopefully they'll be doing that by coming to see our shows. Look, sexy is it's a moving word, isn't it? It seems to change the parameters.
Yes.
I can understand the appeal of Guy. He doesn't do it for me personally.
Do you think he's sexy because he's been living in Nelson?
No. I think he's sexy because he's kind of like Clark Kent made love to a giraffe, isn't he? He's got that tall look of intelligence, but he's a little bit kind of weird. And it looks actually surprisingly good in boxer shorts, so he's got it all going on.
Oh. Well, when you are most creative, in a deep moment, is that in a deep moment of solitude, or do funny thoughts sort of come to you in the middle of chaos or mundaneness, like in a supermarket or something like that?
I think it's a combination of all those things. For me, the time that I am most creative is really when I'm on the stage. I think the thing I find hardest is actually sitting down and disciplining myself to actually write on a particular thing, or just go, right, what's funny? Let's write about some stuff. Most of the stuff that I personally like of mine, that I've been doing the longest, is stuff that's just happened out of a generic conversation with somebody in the audience that then leads me into this other kind of weird area where something else happens. And so most of the stuff that I create has come from something that I've done on stage. So yeah, I guess it's amid all that chaos, a little thing bubbles to the surface, and then I go, well, let's go and explore that. And sometimes it leads to something great, and then other times it's just a cul-de-sac, and you go, I really should have seen the sign.
So it's just the one show in Nelson.
The one, yeah.
What can people expect to see when they, go to the theatre tonight?
Well, I don't know what they're going to expect, and I really don't know what they're going to get, because the cross-section of comics that we have is so vastly different. What I will say is there will be something for everyone in there. There will be not one genus of person who's in the audience who will be, I came along wanting to see magic, but I saw this, or I came along wanted to... Every comic is really, really different, so we'll touch every single button in the audience, not individually, because it will take a long time, but I reckon everyone will love it.
Audience participation, there'll be plenty of that.
Yeah, heck yeah. I encourage that. Feel free to shout some stuff out if you can if you can wind up looking funnier than the comics, good luck to you if you think that's going to happen. But if you want to give it a go, go for it. We love it.
A lot of people come to Nelson and they don't want to leave. Do you think that might happen to you?
Yeah, well, I think already our van's broken down, so that might already be happening, I think.
Yes,
and I will
yes.
certainly be cruising past the local real estate agent on the way to the hotel to see if there's a good rental we can pick up, maybe stay for a few more months.
Yes.
It is a lovely place. I've been here, a few times before, and really looking forward to it. It's only one night. We're only here for one night, but we'll have a good time, I'm sure.
But if it doesn't, have that hold on you,
Yes.
expect to move on to where tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're moving on to Christchurch, which is also in the South Island. You may have heard of it. It's further down. So we go Christchurch, then we go Oamaru. We might go to both places. I don't know. If we've got time, we'll go Oamaru and Oamaru. We might join them together, go Oamaru. Who knows? And then we go to Invercargill, and then once we've hit the heady heights of Invercargill, it's back up to the North Island again to do a little circuit through there.
So you come back now you're here.
We will do. Thanks for having us.